Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans, welcome to Talking Nobles. How's everybody doing out there on this Monday, November 19th, 2024, episode number 114? I'm Alex. Partner in crime over there is Dave. It feels like it's forever.
It
Like
does.
we just did a show last week,
I know.
and it feels like it's been like a year since we've done a show. I don't know why.
Because we had a lot happen this week.
There
I-
was a lot
I mean,
that went on.
Can I just give say something really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I would like to thank Madison High School. I'm officially the head boys coach for winter track and spring track
Woo, yeah.
for this upcoming year. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I will make sure that everybody is fast, fit, and mentally stable, and it's going to be an amazing season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Everyone needs to watch out now because the Flying J is going to be on fire, and Dave is going to have them steaming and rolling. And I
Let's
think
hope.
we're going to see a new powerhouse in the shore conference within the next 4 or 5 years. Because
Well,
I'll say one thing: Dave coached me for a short time, and if you're looking for anyone that has more passion in the sport, I mean, just come watch the show every week. There's very few people that know more about New Jersey State track and
thank
field
you.
than Dave. So he's going to bring all that knowledge and that passion and, the experience of being good and then also going through injury and like everything he's going to bring is going to be great for the kids. So congrats, partner.
Thank
You deserve it more than anybody else.
Thank you.
So
Now, speaking of powerhouse, something happened
Oof.
this past Saturday that I am still in the process of.
So I want to wait
process.
since we have a
Okay.
New Jersey legend coming
Okay.
on. I want to get his opinion when we do that. So
Sure.
let me get through the preamble and we'll bring him in because maybe we'll lead off with that because I want to get his opinion on that because what happened at Meet of Champions is unheard of and we'll talk about it. So
Sure.
before we get into all the fun stuff, if you like what you hear today, please give us a like, share, follow. If you're watching on X, give us a repost and a follow there. If you're watching on Facebook, share it and follow. If you watch on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe. And the biggest thing you could do is spread this word of mouth with your friends that every week there's this awesome ass running show that is on. They talk, not just X's and O's of track, but get the stories of some of the greatest runners in New Jersey and all around the country and even just casuals. So spread that around and so that we can bring this to more people and
Hell
more
yeah.
people can hear all these awesome stories.
Absolutely.
We always have talked, and now it seems like we've been talking about for the better part of a year for the River Rock and Run 5K that Adam Nalvin puts on. I'm happy to say that race happened this weekend. It was a success from all that I've seen, and I just want to congratulate everyone that competed, whether you did the 1.5 and 1.5, handed it off, or whether you did a full. All the proceeds went towards a great cause for Phil from Monmouth and Ocean County Food Banks. You got some good food, got some good drink, good camaraderie. Adam always puts on a great show. And can't wait to talk about it again for another like half a year when it's coming up next year.
Absolutely.
As long as Adam does it, we'll talk about it. And last week, Dave got to pinch himself a few times because we talked to one of his favorite legends, Jim Spivey, who we had the pleasure of sitting down with over at the gala. And then he gave us a ton of time last week. It was
awesome.
A freaking blast. He's a wealth of knowledge. His stories are incredible. Dave, from your perspective, since he's one of your heroes, like what was that like? Just talking to him.
It's just always wonderful, and I've seen that so much in this sport. To see the humility in these athletes who have accomplished so much, and just his passion for the sport. How he still involved working for 8-6. He coached at Vanderbilt. He's a track lifer.
Yeah,
and it just was like. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would meet Jim Spivey, let alone have him on a podcast that I was hosting. It was very surreal and just an amazing time.
And he's passionate about the sport, and we had some fun back and forths about our ideas. And it was good to get someone that's on the inside that works in the shoe companies, even though we give the shoe companies a ton of crap here. It was nice to see somebody there to kind of give us the inside. So I want to bring in our guest this week because, like I said, we went from talking to Jim Spivey, who's a track legend, and we're going into another legend in his own right. This individual is an absolute New Jersey legend. And I mean, if you notice back there, he's someone I'm a Maris guy. So I don't know if we're going to get along too well because he's a Manhattan legend as well. We're going to bring him in. He is Michael Benson, legend over from Toms River South High School, which you love, and over at Manhattan. What's going on, Michael?
Hi, Alex. Hi, Dave.
Yeah, we appreciate you jumping on 100%.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, Dave got a hold of me just a couple days ago, or was it yesterday?
It was yesterday. I have heard. I mean, my whole high school career, all I heard was stories from Coach O'Leary and Coach Heffernan about the olden days, the 70s, the 80s with Mike Benson and Ray Ronson and all these guys. And to have you on my show, it's an honor. So thank you for coming on.
Yes. It's fun.
You know, it's always
you guys
fun
have been doing a good job. I've watched several of the shows. Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. You know, it means a lot when we're getting it from some of the, you know, great runners. And New Jersey has had a bevy of great runners, especially distance runners. Like, we pump out incredibly fast people, and it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
And it's just always nice to hear that we're doing a good job, because it's our passion to, you know, connect to individuals like you. And if we're keeping you guys interested, then we're doing the right thing. You know, so
clearly, well, I am a fan as much as you guys are. So
thank you. So I want to ask you, Dave alluded to it. Did you see what CBA did this past weekend at Meet of Champions, Michael?
I had to look at it a couple times and then, you know, go through what they took: first, second, third, fourth, sixth, eighth.
I think it was 5 of the top 7 and 7 of the top. I mean, they almost had a perfect dual meet score in the Meet Champions. It was almost 15
points.
Yep, in the Meet Champions. I mean, it was, listen, I know CBA has gotten a lot of crap over the years because they get talent or whatnot, and that's true, but you got to do something with that talent, and Coach McCafferty is doing an unbelievable job. I can't imagine there's a better team in the country than
I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and then I asked you the other day, McCafferty is Al's son.
He is.
And I'm like,
legendary brick coach
conference, you know, the experience and the history and the tradition associated with Roselle, what was it? St. Joe's Metuchen.
Yep.
And Gagliano. Yep. He was there for a short while, right? Wasn't he at St. Joe's Metuchen?
I believe it was.
Believe so.
Yeah, but, you know, like, it's all in a circle. But yeah, I mean, Sean is just doing a fantastic job. Yes, he gets talent, but it doesn't matter. You have to do something with that talent that you get. And he is getting kids, and they are running amazing in high school. They're doing great things in college. So kudos to you, Sean. That was an absolutely dominating, ridiculous performance that I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
Incredible. And you think what it's like to run at Homedale. It's amazing.
Which was voted, I believe, the hardest course in the country last year for high school 5K. So, and also, you know, I've always said, like, people, you have to, like, debate, like, what's easier to coach, a whole bunch of talent or a whole bunch, you know, or less talent, right? That you can kind of bring that talent out. And I think it takes a different type of coach to do both, right? You could be a good coach that could find the diamonds in the rough and coach those guys up. But when you get the superstar that knows they're good, that's running well, then, you know, sometimes it's tough to, like, bring in that ego or create proper training plans for them.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I liken this back to when Eric Spoelstra took over the Miami Heat, right? You had LeBron, you had Dwayne Wade, you had Chris Bosh, you had all these guys, and he was just there more or less to manage a bunch of talent, right? And just bring out the best in that talent. And I think that's what Coach McCafferty is balancing so well, because let's face it, you go to CBA cross country, your goal is a national championship. Your goal is to be the national champion, right? That is
sure.
So these kids
going play soccer or run cross country there.
Yeah. Yeah. And these kids going there, they know that there's a good possibility that they know they're going to nationals if they're on varsity, right? Like, they're going to compete there. There's a good possibility they can hold up a plaque, that they could be a place winner. So that is balancing some ego. And I think that, you know, anyone gets it when you're that good. And I think that Coach McCafferty has done a fantastic job. I heard a story from one of the coaches I'm friends with, that one of their, like, might have been last year, but one of their 4th or 5th place guys on the track, like, was starting, like, maybe talking some mess a little bit. And Sean went up to him and right away was like, "We do not do that. Yeah. Do your job." And it's like, that's exactly what you want to see. Yes. And we could tell just by talking to Sean, like, he's that type of guy.
That's not how we perform. That's not
pretend like you've been there before, right? Like, yeah. So we love it. Oh, Dave ran away, but we love it there. And you know, like I said, I give no flack to CBA, even though all of us, we were public school kids, right? So it was always like, you got the conferences, don't let CBA win. Like, I would sit there, I wouldn't care if East, South, North, Jackson, Brick, any one of us won. Jackson, like, fine, as long as it's not CBA or Mondon, and which is Donovan Catholic now. But and none of the parochial schools. Like, the only time we all got along was when we were trying to work with the 3 CBA kids that were gonna run up front, and we had to try to box them out, right? Like, that was the only time that there was any camaraderie between all the public school kids.
Yes. Yeah.
it was always fun. But yeah, congrats to Coach McCafferty. And to follow up the group's performance of going 1 through 7, and then to do what he did in mocks. It might be like the best 2-week span that we may have ever seen in New Jersey cross country history.
And I mean, and now they're on to making nationals, and I mean, I can't imagine there being a better team, but you never know. That's why you got to lace them up and run the race.
Yes. Yep. And I hope everyone's healthy.
And I was also looking at it too. I believe I looked at the 4x-mile record for track. It's something like 16:29, 16:26. You can't tell me that CBA is not going to destroy that if they want to. There's got to be 4 guys with the times that they ran. Basically, they had 6 guys under 15:30. You can't tell me they don't have 4 guys that can run 4:10 or faster, or right near it, right? Like
4:10 is 16:40.
I mean, it's just kids nowadays are just so fast. It's just crazy.
Yeah, so it's gonna be close, and it'll be fun. I'm excited what they're gonna do. Coach McCafferty, shout out. Obviously Joe Barrett made a champion, that whole entire team, and they all did a great job there. So.
Clay Stevens with a phenomenal race.
Clay Stevens is a monster as well. So yeah, just excited to see all that. But now, Michael, we want to get to you because you're the reason why we're here today.
Absolutely.
So asking the question that we ask every single person, and you've watched the show, so you're probably expecting this and you're ready for it. What was the spark that made you want to become a runner and do this for as long as you did?
I think it was because I started playing soccer when I was 5.
Yeah.
And when I got to, 11, 12 years old, when the coaches would say to soccer kids, we're going to run laps. Most soccer people hate running laps. And I was of the mindset, how many and how fast?
Right. So, Michael, were you one of the ones you weren't doing the soccer jog? And you know what I'm talking about. There's the soccer player jog where they barely pick their feet up.
Yeah,
they do the little shoulder rhythm.
No, he was running.
He was actually doing, and the rest of the team probably hated you. It's like, why do we have to go as fast as him?
Jimmy Handshoe was on my soccer team. If you remember Jimmy,
I do.
And who else? Bob Morio, Bob's older brother Dave. There were a couple guys in there, and it was a club team. So, and then in 6th grade, they had the president's physical fitness or whatever.
Sure. Yep.
And, or no, that wasn't even, it was just elementary school games in the backyard. And I couldn't sprint fast enough, but when they ran the 600, I just killed it.
That's awesome. So is that when you kind of felt like, okay, running is my thing more like,
No.
so when did it click that running was going to be your thing?
7th grade at what was Intermediate West.
That's right.
We were at split sessions at Intermediate East.
Okay.
And our cross country coach, 7th grade, was
Mr.
Robert
Rebold?
Barnes. Robert Barnes.
Oh, Mr. Barnes.
Mr. Barnes.
And Mr.
And
Barnes.
he was a Penn Relays champion from Snyder High School in the 4x400. Well, the mile relay, the true mile relay. So he had a good sense of teamwork and training principles. He was a former state trooper too that retired, left state trooper police work and ended up getting a teaching degree.
Yeah, his daughter Mary ran for South.
Did she?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
But he was a great coach. He was so even-handed. And by the time 8th grade came around, we were 17-0. We won every meet.
Wow.
Including,
awesome.
We went up to Bernardsville for like the unofficial state meet.
Right.
And we won that too. So we
Can
had
you imagine now having 17 meets in middle school? It would never happen. It's great.
It never happened.
No. Now it would never happen.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, and I know there's a lot of coaches and stuff, and I go back and forth, and I went back and forth at the beginning of this show many years ago. Now it's crazy. It's been a few years. With some of the coaches, like the great high school coaches. And I was like, I'm a person that I used to love racing. For me, like, they're like, oh, it's great. We got rid of the dual meets. I'm like, those were the fun meets. Like, those are the ones that it was like, okay, I had to go run a 5K, but I don't have to try and like drop a 1540. I can go run a 1620, a 1630 and win cool. I can run a 17 flat in some of these teams and coast. Those were great. And I just treated those as workouts. So
That's where they are to us. That was the mindset for us.
No more dual meets.
It's crazy. There's no more dual meets. They just do like one county
Conference
meet,
one
conference meet, and that's it. And it's like, and
there
again,
are no more dual meets.
No, dual meets are dead. And maybe there's a tri meet every once in a while. And I know CBA tries to keep that alive.
They have
their
meets.
dual meet streak.
Yeah.
They'll have like an A South or like a B South meet.
I hate it.
Like early in the year Saturday, but I guess they're trying to make it more like college. Train through the week, race on the weekends.
Okay. Wow.
And college used to have dual meets too, and they got rid of those a long time ago. But I mean, I feel like, again, part of me gets it in the college sense because like these guys and girls are trying to essentially get to that pro level. It's training for pros if that's college, but essentially what it is, right? And you're not running dual meets, even though I hope that the pros eventually have a weekly dual meet type of setting type of thing at some point. But I don't know. I was a person, I loved high school dual meets. That was my fun time. That was my training. It was my speed workout. So I've always been a fan of them. So Michael, it seems like you're more on my page that you actually enjoyed your dual meet times.
Oh yeah. I mean, the memories of some of those, like my sophomore year as varsity, our first meet was against Brick, and the seniors, unbeknownst to the younger guys or even Brick, but the guys shaved their heads. They had mohawks.
Nice.
That's awesome.
But they were wearing Brick, green and white Brick hats, wool hats. I don't even know where they got them from. And when we got in the starting line, and that was at Bailey Golf Course.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to race at Bailey. And
a golf course would never let you run on their thing now. Like it would never allow a 5K to run because they have to keep it pristine, right? They would never allow that.
No. Yeah, Ray ripped his head off or ripped his hat off, and he had a mohawk. And who else had it? I don't know, Chris Likes, a couple other guys. Great. And I just stood there like, because I was a sophomore running varsity, and that was my first intro to how crazy those guys were.
So what are some of your best moments over at a South? Because, I mean, going there, now, did you run for O'Leary all 4 years, or did you get any XC with Altizio?
Altizio was my coach for cross country all 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yes.
So you just
and then we had O'Leary indoor, outdoor.
Right. Now, did you win Meet of Champs?
In cross country?
No, in track. Yeah, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Indoors.
Yes. Because I remember you and Chris Greer both won from South in the 16. Or was yours the 1500 then? They had a few years?
1500 for that 2 year period. So my junior year was yards, and my senior year was meters.
Oh, that had to be fun. To go from like yard, did you get to have two separate records, like a yard record and a meter record? Did you get to claim both at any point?
My understanding is that in South Jersey, sectional meet, Group 4, my sub 4 1500 meter time still stands.
Yeah,
because they don't race it anymore.
You know what though? I still feel like it would be such a weird situation, even if they did race it at some points in high school, right? Because in college you gear up to do it because that's what you're training for. But I feel like it would still be hard to get because yes, we have a lot of kids that are running damn near 4 flat now that possibly could run that time. But there's obviously a little bit of a different strategy when there's 100 meters less, right? So I feel like it could still be a tough time to touch because the racing strategy would be a little bit different.
Perhaps. I mean, it's only a 416 mile.
Yeah. I mean, you say only 416. That's better than anything I've ever ran.
Same here.
So take us down memory lane. What have been some of your favorite moments in running, starting when you went into 7th grade, and bring us all the way through your time in Manhattan? Because you were also a fantastic runner over in Manhattan.
I can remember the 8th grade cross country, like unofficial state meet. It was run up near Bernardsville. And it was pouring rain, literally pouring. And we were driving up and, on the bus, my parents came up with us. My brother was on the team too. He was a 7th grader, just literally pouring. It was a race that probably shouldn't have gone off, but it was muddy, root infested trails and running down this hill. It was just a river. And then we turned up this, what looked like a driveway, but it was a very narrow road. I was running with the leader, and there was a car, a single lane road. There was a car right in front of us.
Oh, no.
Leader, the other kid I'm with, he gets around the car, and now I'm stuck. And I just slammed my hand on the trunk of the car, and the guy stopped. So I got around him, caught the kid, and beat him to the finish line.
That's awesome.
And my dad was at the finish line. I jumped in his arms.
That's
But it
awesome.
was like coming to the finish line was 6 inches of water.
So, I mean, obviously, winning that race, you got the feel and the taste for winning and competing, and that kind of had to just carry you on for everything. It's amazing how winning 1 or 2 races at a young age can just carry you through.
Yeah, and then cross country, my freshman year was ho hum. Indoor track was a new experience.
Oh.
Then we went outdoors because, I hadn't broken 53 seconds for 440 yards. And then we had that short conference, freshman meet at North.
Yeah.
And I ran 51-1. Out of nowhere.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Out of nowhere, 51-1. And then 10 minutes later, I was supposed to come back and run the 880. But they were supposed to be like 20 or 25 minutes. But then our freshman coach was aware that they were going to run, the final for the hurdles and come right back to the 880. So Bruce Maltzman, who was a coach under O'Lear and the freshman coach, he was standing on the track blocking
that sounds like
blocking the movement of the hurdles to give me another 5 minutes.
That's hilarious.
And then we came back and won the 880 and then anchored the mile relay, but we went from 4th to 2nd on the anchor leg.
Wow. There's something to be said though, and I think this has a lot to do with it, right? Like, cause you said you ran a 51 out of nowhere, but it's like when young men are hitting puberty in high school, it all happens different. And sometimes it happens in spurts. And it probably just so happened that, maybe a week before, like that hit and you gain some extra muscle and extra strength.
Perhaps.
That gave you that ability.
Culmination of the season. Yeah. But 51-1 equates to what? 50.8?
Yeah, it's impressive.
It's about a 0.3.
I only ran 49.8 as a senior.
It is hard to shave time off of 400. It is, the lower the distance gets, the harder it is to shave time.
And my concentration was not as a 400 meter kid.
Right.
You were just probably at that point, as you got better at the mile and stuff, they probably just do you in the mile relay to like go and run, and there you go.
And then this one you probably don't know. So South Jersey sectionals, my freshman year, I was a freshman. I'm done. I had to run 51-1. That was on a Wednesday at Toms River North. Saturday is the sectionals. So O'Lear wants to take me to the sectionals to run the 440. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Pensauken's 440 was a one-turn race.
Wait, what?
You started at the 100 meters. You went up, made the turn, and came back and finished. It was not 2 turns. It was not a full lap.
That's bizarre.
But I outran Bobby Cottrell. He was Toms River North senior quarter miler, and I beat him.
Oh, that had to be awesome being a freshman
I
from
knew where
South.
he was. He was inside, and I blocked him. Around the turn and outran him, and Hef gave me the biggest high five.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can't imagine how fun that rivalry was. Like I said, I was Manchester, so we were your redheaded stepsister of like you guys, Jackson Brick. Like no one really paid attention to us till we had like that one good kid, and then everyone was like, all right, where the hell did they come from, right? But
Andrew
like
Valman,
and we've had a few, but I can't imagine like the pride with all the Toms River rivalries. Like that had to be fun whenever you guys would get one on each other.
Jimmy Flynn, Bob Santinello, the guys, and I can't say I really knew them. I didn't want to know them.
Yeah.
But
the mentality was so different.
We respected each other.
Well, we're going to get into that too. Because
so I have a quick question for you, because in XC, when I was there, it was always upon either like the team or usually the captains to like lead the opposing team through the course, right? You did like an early jog to kind of show them the course. That was always kind of a tradition as like a warm up. Did you guys do that, or was it
No.
upon like an assistant coach to walk them through? Or
No.
because that was a thing.
We never did that.
No. Yeah, because that was the thing when we were there, and we were told like we had to do it. Like it wasn't like something like I would much rather have warmed up on my team, and I didn't give a crap about the other team. But it was something that like we kind of had to do to like, I guess, to make it on an even playing field so that they wouldn't get lost in any spots. But I don't know. It was I hope that didn't stay for a while, because I actually hated that. Because it was like I was the same way as you guys. Like we were much more simpatico with other teams in my generation, but I still didn't like them until it was done, until I beat them. Then I was fine with that.
No,
but after I beat them, it was cool.
We were encouraged not to speak to other teams.
Oh no, you guys, and I'd imagine, were you the same way? Because you had O'Leary as well, right? So was O'Leary the same way then? Like, don't talk to anybody; they're all the enemy.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he espoused that. Hef did.
Yeah. It was definitely a message. So, Mike, being a Tom River South guy, the culture there is big on team first. Being that you were a very good individual, how did that all fit in with you? Like, was it easy for you to be a team first guy?
Yes, it was so easy because the success I had individually was great, but I preferred to perform as a team.
100%.
The relays, counting on the guys, saying a prayer before the race, and then it was you were just counting on your brothers. That's all.
You were coming up, not too long after they had won Penn in 74. So, like that aura was there. And I think at one point in the early 80s, Tom River South had like 5 of the top 15 times in New Jersey history. It was like 7,
which is awesome.
I mean, my team ran like 8:03, and I don't think we even made the top 10 list.
Right.
So how much would you equate the leadership, like Dave said, like when you were a freshman, how much would you equate those individuals that were ahead of you, your sophomores, juniors, and seniors, that kind of instilled that? And they probably saw that you were a talented kid, right? You come in as a freshman, run a 51, you're probably doing pretty well in the 880 as well. You're running 51, you're probably running sub 205 as a freshman, right? So like you're running well.
Yeah.
They see this talent. Was it apparent from the beginning that it's like, hey kid, you're good, but no one's better than the team? Was that like kind of sent right there right away from the top down as like your seniors and stuff?
No, I think it was respect. They had, the upperclassmen had respect because they knew that I'd score points for the team.
Yeah.
A lot of the personalities, I didn't care for them, but as a team, we worked together and got along.
Yeah, do what you gotta do when you're on the course. That's your family. That's it, right? Like when you're on the course, when you're competing, anyone else in another singlet, you don't care. If they're your singlet, that's who you want to be with you, right?
We ran the Manhattan College Invitational. That was my sophomore year, and we put all 5 guys in the top 10.
That's awesome.
And
was that over at Vanny? Was that
yes?
That was the old Van Coin. Did
first
you guys
time I ever ran there? I remember going across that field. And
did they do the back hills for the 5K at that point, or was that so you guys? Oh my god, because they don't do the back hills for the 5K anymore. They do it only for the 8, or maybe they do it now again. Because there was a time where they cut out the back hills for the 5K.
No,
which was the hardest part.
5K. when you started on that south side of the open field, went straight toward, and then over the bridge, up and around the back, and then we were coming down the hills in the back, and I remember Ed Mathers, who was a senior, he was just ahead of me, and he goes, "Where's Chris? Where's Ray?" And I was running third at the time of the team. Third. I was number 3 in the team, and then I go, I don't know. I turn around, and Ray and Chris are right behind me. I said, "They're right behind us." So we did really well. Yeah, we finished top 10. We're coming down that hill, and everybody's going, "Tom River South, holy mackerel!"
I only ever ran the 2.5 mile course there.
Okay, so
that was the 2.5 mile.
Yeah.
It wasn't the 5K, but it included the hills.
It did.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay, so you get through high school. Obviously, you had a fantastic career. Won the Meet of Champs indoors in the 15, and was one of the
because the week before, I won the 1,500 and the 3,000.
Okay.
Group 4.
Wow. And that's tough.
I talked to Lear about it the other day because we were together with Glenn Livingston out to dinner. And I asked O'Leary, I said, "How did that process go?" Because I ran the 1,500 And I don't know whether I asked him or he asked me whether I wanted to run the 3,000 as a bonus. And I said, yeah, I'll run it. And I remember, like the confidence you see in some of these world-class athletes, like Inge Brixton. He just walks off the line, right? And he lets everybody go. In the 3,000, that's what I did. I think I was in the outside. I was all the way in the outside lane. California started Princeton indoors. Gun goes off. Everybody takes off, and I just kind of walked to the inside lane, and then like O'Leary said, you just kept moving up each lap, and then with 200 meters go, you just outran them all.
Yeah. Well, you were kind of dealing with house money at that point, right? Like you had won the 15. It's like, let's see what my legs can do. Like you were kind of like, let's see what the old legs can do. I'll keep contact, but outside of that, whatever happens, but right?
The confident, the fitness and the confidence level was off the charts.
That matters. What helps. It matters. Yeah, the mentality is massive because if you go in there, like you said, you had the mentality of, I feel great. There's a chance I can win this thing, right? Instead of going with the mentality of my legs are heavy, I gave it my all in the 15. I don't know. Like, no, you went in there and you're like, let's go win this.
Yeah.
And that's all that makes all the difference.
403 and 903.
Not bad. Not bad at all. The double, a 403, 903 double is impressive today.
Nice.
Like that's impressive.
Yeah. It was comfortable. And then I said to O'Leary too, I said, I should have run the 3,000 in the all group meet and run against Jim Smith from Haddonfield.
Yeah,
because he was the reigning XC champ, and I said he won it in 8:48, the all group meet, right? A week later, and I always wonder what that race how that might have turned out. We could have gone 8:30 or better.
I mean, yeah, you push each other, you work your tails off, and you'll see. You never know what happens, right? Especially if you're running on fresh legs.
You know me, Dave. I would have just let him lead.
Yeah, man,
and out sprint him.
Sit and kick.
So when it comes to outdoors, did you ever get a meet of champs victory in outdoors?
No.
So kind of go through what happened in like any of those situations. Was senior year your best chance? And what did you obviously made it to finals in them, I'd imagine.
Made it to the finals. That's that was controversial.
Because let's bring it. Let's get the juiciness. I love it.
Yes, it was.
You know about this, Dave?
I've heard snippets, but I'm pumped to actually hear it all.
So cross country my senior year, I lost to Cliff Sheehan from Westfield.
Okay.
Yep. Finished second to him in group 4. We both had a lousy race in the meet of champs. Indoors, he was a swimmer. He didn't run indoors. Outdoors, he started running again. Comes to the Group 4 1500 at Rutgers, and it was a long day. It was hot. It was very hot. It was even written about how hot it was. And we ran the 1500, same exact time. I knew he outleaned me, and I don't ever remember my ears ringing as badly immediately after that race. And I was walking around the turn at Rutgers, and people are trying to get my attention. I turn around and some official's yelling at me. He's like in my face yelling at me, and I can't even hear him. So I walked to the infield, and he was yelling at me to hand an index card that had the number 2 on it, which at 15 seconds after the race I could care less about, right?
Right.
I cursed at him. I called him an asshole.
Yeah, listen, when you're exhausted after a race, the emotions go. Like
he says to me, he says, now you stand here and you wait until I'm good and ready to give this to you. And I said, what, are you going to be an asshole? They disqualified me after the race was over.
So I can imagine Mr. O'Leary going ape shit.
No, he was pretty calm. I called him across from the back straight. He came over, and so that was on a Saturday. Wednesday is the all group meet.
Yeah, champs. Yeah.
Andy Borden's father's an attorney. He never went to a track meet. That was the only meet he went to. He put an injunction on the state meet until I had my whatever. I could sit before some judgment. And
that's crazy.
So we were going to put a hold on the meet. So then NJSIAA said, no, let him run. And,
it's not worth it at that point.
It's not worth it. So I was leading with 300 meters to go. and faded to 5th in the seeded heat. And then 2 kids from the unseeded heat
ran faster,
beat that time. So I finished 7th at the Meet of Champs.
That's tough.
And even Cliff Sheehan finished 5th. He had a lousy day too. But yeah, that was that's a thorn in my side.
You know what though? That's got to be mentally take you on to, because you think you're an adult, right? When you're 17, 18 as a senior, but you're still a kid.
I was 18 and a half.
Yeah, you're still a kid though, and now you're dealing with all this stuff. You cussed at an official, like, because he was like, you were exhausted, and now you're mired in all this controversy. You just want to toe the line and run against the best, and now you have to deal with all this stuff. The adults are fighting, and it's like, can we just shut up and let me get on the line?
I didn't run a step, Dave. After that, I didn't do anything leading up to that morning, Wednesday. They said, okay, we'll let him run.
Right. So there was no jog it out afterwards. Just
nothing. No.
Well, I mean, because you didn't know if you were going to run anyway, right? So it was like, why train for nothing?
And I was leading at 300 meters. I said, oh boy, this would be good. Shove it in their face.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
And you know what? But the thing is, though, like, obviously you can't have any regrets, right? Because you were leading at 300. You were giving it your all. It's not like you went in there and like mailed it in. So you gave everything you could. And, that's just a crappy situation for, obviously you're still going to school, right? So you're sitting there going to school. Your teammates know what's going on. Like, so it's like, that's a tough situation to be in, where it's like, I should be in that meet, but I don't know.
Supposed to run the mile relay. So they disqualified me. So that pushed the other guys out.
Right.
And so did they eventually end up running when you got reinstated, or just kind of get?
Remember. I don't remember, because we couldn't run. We couldn't run the Group 4 mile relay to qualify for the Meet of Champs.
Right.
We wouldn't have been fast enough anyway.
But that always bothers me. Like, I understand being an official, you don't want a kid cursing at you,
or at least maybe taking you out of that event, but to disqualify you from the whole meet.
Yes. Yep.
But some officials have to be a little more reasonable, right? Like, you just see a kid go battling at the line, and then you're holding something in their face and telling them they better take it. And it's like,
you're going to stand here and wait until I'm ready to give this to you. And I'm like, wait,
have some discretion. Like, so that happened to me my sophomore year. So Dave, I think you were coaching me my sophomore year. Was it sophomore? Yeah, I think so. My ankle was terrible that year, right? And I finished counties, and I ran pretty well. I think I got like 4th, ran a decent time, but my ankle was like flailing in the wind at that point. A bad ankle. Little did I know it was fractured. I didn't find out until senior year that it was fully fractured. I just always thought it was sprained. But like, I get done with the race, and like, I can't walk at that point. So I go to the ground, and the officials, after like, I was like 10 steps over, no one was going to run me over. And he was like, son, you have to get up and get my hand. I'm like, are you going to drag me? Like, get away from me. And similar situation like that, he starts going, my coach Scheffler comes over, Dave, and he's just like, get away from my athlete. It's like, picks me up. Like, they have to have a little more discretion as well when they're coming to deal with kids. Like,
some of the other memory was indoors Group 4 relays against Plainfield and John Marshall.
Oh God.
So leading up to that meet, what's his name? He was the Star Ledger writer, Ed.
Oh,
yeah.
Not Ed Sullivan. Not Ed Sullivan.
Ed Grant.
Ed Grant. There you go. I was thinking Ed Sullivan. It's the only thing, but not the Ed Sullivan show. Like,
no, well, there was a Ed Scullion who did
Scullion's timing.
He's the Monmouth Regional.
Monmouth Regional.
This was Ed Grant. So leading up to the meet, Tom Server South gets honorable mentions for the 2 mile relay, and we're like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, they picked Plainfield and Westfield or something. We were pissed. I was pissed. So we won it, but I got the stick like 15 meters ahead of John Marshall on the anchor.
Oh, that's scary.
And I never let him taste it.
That's awesome.
I ran 156 flat. I think he ran 155.8, but he never gained on us. So you know how you're not supposed to throw the baton at the end of the race?
No.
But I crossed the finish line. I was like, we got him. And I just laid the baton in the track right in front of Marshall. Just laid it right in the first lane.
That's a little, you know what though? I almost like that, because there's got to be some moxie in the sport, right? Like, there is nothing more pure than running faster than the person next to you. And I know we all like to pretend like we need to be soldiers. We need to show no emotion. We need to go and run race and then walk off. And
I like the emotion.
I wasn't showboating. It was a protest. Here you go, Ed Grant. And that was fun.
You know what? It is scary though. Sometimes, like I always feel like it's better getting the baton in second in those situations. Now you had a nice lead. 15 meters is a good lead in 800.
I would agree. I prefer to come from behind.
To be like,
yes,
give me, let them
chase,
let them get 5 meters on me, and then I can make contact real quick around the first turn, and then just sit and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, but like a 15-meter lead is like a good lead, but is it good enough? Like you knew you had to go out and run one of your best races, right? Against a really good.
4 years later was an Olympian.
Yeah, exactly. A really good half miler that eventually becomes an Olympian. So you get through high school. What went in the process of choosing Manhattan?
That's another interesting story.
Now we got time. Let's go. Listen, that's what we're here for. Let's get the stories out.
So I had gotten letters, scholarship letters, coach from Florida, I think South Carolina, Boston College came to the house. But I wasn't getting a lot of offers. It came to me, and I'll just say through the grapevine, that the our cross country coach was telling the coaches when I was, my fall season senior year, he wanted me to go to his alum out in the Midwest. And I wasn't interested in doing that. But he was telling all these college coaches that I'm not staying on the East Coast.
That sucks. So that's destroying opportunities for you.
Yeah. I didn't decide where I was going until the third week of June.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'd already graduated.
Wow. That's wow.
I pretty much intended to go to Iona at this point. And
I'm much happier you went to Manhattan over Iona, I must say.
He's a Marist guy. So
I'm a Marist guy, so I prefer, if I'm going to prefer anybody, it's Manhattan over Iona.
Yeah.
No, I love the guys at Iona.
It was O'Lear, his relationship with Fred Dwyer, with his older brother Jack.
That's Catholic. Yep.
And he called Fred, and Fred said, why don't you bring him up? He can do a visit. So I didn't visit the college. Like the third week of June.
Wow.
It was like June 21st.
And all the kids are gone at that point, right? So it's like, it's not even like they're not there.
There's nobody
so
on
it's like
campus.
You're not going to it's not, and that sucks too, because then you don't get to really meet the team. And that's part of it, is like, am I going to click with this team as well? That's always a big part of why you choose a school.
Right. And then there was 2 years older than me, Guy Emmons from Marlboro. He was the all-group mile champion from 78.
Yeah.
And so he met me locally back at the shore after I visited, and convinced me that this was the place to go. That, and I didn't really know Fred's pedigree until much later. I mean, I knew he coached LaCorey.
Yeah.
But and I knew he coached Jack.
Yep.
But other than that, I didn't understand his
prowess, right?
How he had risen as an athlete too.
And Michael, it's funny you talk about that, because we mentioned that with Jim Spivey last week, because he's coaching a high school team right now. And it's like, it took him, someone had to ask him like, oh, were you fast? And he was like, yeah, I ran a 3:49 mile. Like, and it's like, you never know how good your coaches are, because, by the time we get to them and we're coaching them, or, you're being coached by them, they're past their prime. Typically, they might still be running, but they're not running what they were in college and high school. No. And then they come out and it's like, oh yeah, no, I ran X, Y, and Z. And it's like, oh, like I said, like one of my coaches was my sprint coach. He's a Hall of Famer at SUNY Cortland. He's one of the best 400-meter hurdlers in the history of the school. Oh, and he also got Hall of Fame for football there as well. Yeah. So he's like one of the best athletes in the school's history. And like, I had no clue until one weekend. He's like, oh, I'm not going to be at the meet this weekend. I was like, oh, why? It's weird. It's like, oh, I have to go to Cortland for the Hall of Fame induction. I'm like, we're like, what?
I like the East Coast family tree of track and field. That's what I refer to it.
It is. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Freddie he was crazy. Dave, I don't know whether you heard So Fred was an Essex Catholic. This is mid-60s, 65. Right. Well,
yeah.
And they were going to a meet at the Armory in New York City. Now, it was a wooden track, scary place. Fred drives the team in his car. He was Golden Glove boxer. He came to running because he was running to train, but he was a fiery individual.
Just an overall athlete. Jesus.
So they go to the meet. Fred can't find a place to park the car
in Harlem.
So he tells the 4 relay guys, what each of them weighed nothing more than 140 pounds, to pick up this Volkswagen and move it so he can park the car there. Well, this guy comes out and starts mouthing off to Fred. Well, Fred pulls him into an alley and clocks him, punches him.
And again, a Gold Glove boxer, so like he could throw a punch, obviously.
Well, it gets better. So the commotion ends. Everybody ends up in the meet. Jack O'Leary's the senior. They get called into the paddock, and Jack looks up and goes, "Oh my God, that's the guy Fred just punched."
Oh my God, he's one of the officials?
The guy who's checking us in.
Oh my.
So Jack was like, we wore our sweats until we were ready to race. It didn't say Essex Catholic.
Oh my God. That's quite the story.
And then Freddie, like the New York Times, 100th anniversary New York Times, this was 10 years ago, whatever, had listed the top 25 most memorable events at Milrose. Number 1 was the first 7-foot high jump. Number 2 was the first 16-foot pole vault. Number 3 was Fred getting in a fist fight in the mile. I'm serious. And you can see the video.
I know. I've seen it. It's great.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Listen.
He was, and then I told you, I just visited him. He's 93 years old.
Yeah.
I'm friends with his daughter. They all his kids went through Manhattan, but we're sitting there eating lunch, and he's slightly, he's got onset dementia, but his daughter Jane was talking, and she said something about pleasantness, and Fred just barked out of nowhere. He goes, "I bet you didn't think I was very pleasant back then." He was fun. He was like oil and water with me. He was the complete opposite of O'Leary. O'Leary and Hef were positive motivators, right?
Fun, right?
Fred was the opposite. Negative. Show me. Prove me wrong.
Hey, listen, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. You know?
Yeah. And so I had injured my Achilles my senior year, March of my senior year. I didn't think I was going to race the rest of the year. I didn't run a step for 3 weeks. March 24th, they sent me to Temple University Sports Medicine Clinic when sports medicine was still like, what's that? And so they did electric stim and hot and cold baths and whatever else, ultrasound. And then I came back to South, and Debbie Moranti taped my foot in a position like it was in a racing position. I couldn't extend the Achilles. First race back was my first 2 races back were Woodbury around 157 in both races. But O'Leary didn't put me in the anchor just in case it didn't work out. It's like, well, if it doesn't work out, I still drop out and then we lose.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I won second or fourth leg.
Yeah, all right. Doesn't matter. And then Penn was the next week. I was in the Invitation 1500 and dropped out because I felt the twinge in the Achilles, and then I thought of the guys who were going to be on the 2-mile relay.
Right.
So that was Friday afternoon, and I recovered enough to race the 3,200 meter the next morning.
Nice.
Okay. So I want to jump into training and competition and just how it was approached in your time, because
at Manhattan or in high school.
We could talk about both too. We can kind of talk about kind of the differences, but we talked to a lot of people, and even Dave and I, from when we were running as opposed to now, the training mindset is just completely different. In terms of, still like, even when I was there was still a very high mileage type of feel. If you were any sort of distance, it was a lot of high mileage. And then as you were getting into like the 800, maybe sometimes the 16, you would include those sprint workouts, but everything was mileage, hammering mileage. What was your training like? Was it very similar to that? Was there a lot of high volume stuff with sprint mixed in? Was there a lot of thought to weight training, nutrition, sleeping? What was your training like during your time?
I don't know. I didn't think in high school we had a tremendous volume of long distance. We had, 2-3 days a week intervals, if not the races counting as intervals. And then weight training, I didn't get into until my senior year. I had a study hall 8th period.
Yeah.
And have said, that's bullshit. You're going to come to the weight room and work out with us. So I started working out indoors into outdoor, and it changed everything. I mean, it's just so much stronger. And I tried to maintain that at Manhattan.
Yeah.
But the Achilles really hampered my performances early on at college. I mean, 5 miles at Van Cortlandt, 10,000 meters at the either the IC4As or the regional meet for the NCAAs. It was just beating up my Achilles bad.
And also Paul Short too was, at that time as well. It was always a big meet for a lot of the East Coast teams, the Paul Short run over in Lehigh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a high expectation. That's basically a pre-nats meet, right? You're going there though. That's for the longest time that was considered pre-nats. It's still a massive meet.
That's when I was cross-cut that meet my senior year. Sydney Marie from Villanova. I guess he was a fifth-year senior or something like.
One of the greatest ever.
I'm out with him. The whole group, 187,000 people are running. Right?
It's always one of the coolest freaking pictures ever. The start.
But Sydney was just to my inside. He just puts his hand out, like a signal. I'm coming out. I moved a little bit. He came out and just disappeared.
And the thing is, it's like
that was a mile into the race. I was like, oh, well, we'll see him later.
And the thing is, it's like you respect it because you know who he is. And when he's just like, I'm coming out, you're like, he's not just going to cut me off. There's a purpose here.
Respectful.
Don't be a douchebag. Like, get over, let him go. I'm not running with him. It's not, you kind of know that there's levels as a runner and there's categories. It's like, I would like to be with you, but go ahead.
I'm not.
I'll see you later.
Like being on the track with Carl Lewis one time. Woodbury, my junior year. Carl Lewis. I tell people he looks just as fast from behind as he does going left and right.
That had to be cool.
I was on a mile relay. I think he ran the third leg, as did I. My junior year.
Wow.
And I think Ricky Handshoe anchored. But yeah, Carl was he was up ahead.
That's also one of those times you're like, don't get the baton at the same time. Don't get the baton because you don't want people, or don't get the baton in front of him. It's like, let him go. So I don't have to I don't want anyone to watch him dust me. Everyone knows he's going
Woodbury with their 4 turns.
Yeah.
They still have that track, that four turn track. I asked somebody from Woodbury. He says, yeah, that track still got 4 turns.
That's crazy. Dave has to coach on a J. Manasquan has a J.
Ours doesn't go all the way around.
A half a track.
And
a straight and a turn.
Speaking of the shape of tracks, did you ever see Union Catholic's track?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You've seen it?
It's like a triangle almost.
It's a triangle.
Yep. A rounded triangle. Has like the kind of semi-rounded.
It certainly hasn't hurt them for training purposes. They are good at every year.
Just fine.
I was up there for work. I said, oh, wow, Union Catholic. I'm going to go check that out. It was 4:30 in the afternoon. Nobody was there. I pulled up and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with that track?
Yeah. It's a triangle.
Now, Sydney's parents are my college teammates.
Oh, really? You went to high school with the
college
with the McLaughlin?
Did I say high school? I meant college.
No, college.
Well, that's incredible.
That's awesome.
Mary was my year, 84, and Willie was 85. They met at Manhattan. Fell in love, got married, had the 4 kids.
Her brother's a Jersey legend too. Her brother was an incredibly fast runner, and he's fantastic.
He's like a 47 40-meter hurtler.
And it's like 48. People look at it, and it's like, again, we get it. Sid is Sid, but her brother is an incredible athlete as well. That whole
he went to Michigan,
really good. Yeah, he was a Michigan.
McLaughlin, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I can pick up the phone and call Willie, and the one conversation I had with him when she first really started coming through and signing on after her freshman year at Kentucky.
Right.
He says, oh my God, all these calls coming in and these offers and these contracts. And then she ended up signing with New Balance. He said it was crazy. It was just crazy. He said, I couldn't get my own work done. I still had to earn a living, and it was just crazy. Because they remain, to my knowledge, until very recently, they were her agents.
Yeah.
Her mother and father.
She's very private. She likes to keep things very, very close to the vest. And if she does, things that she wants to, she's not intimidated. She doesn't,
right.
But
and Bobby Kersey.
Well, Bobby Kersey's
he's gonna ask that she be like that too, just like Allison Felix was, like a thing Mo will be.
Yeah, we just wish she would race more.
Yeah,
sport.
Sydney.
Yeah,
I want to see her run an 800.
There's no doubt in my mind that she would run a 156. No doubt.
Well, she runs a 400-meter hurdles that fast. You're basically equating the same effort, if not more, over a 400-meter hurdles than an 800.
It's a strategy race.
Yeah,
100%. And that's the thing. Like, she'd have to learn how to run an 800. Just
I
like
always
you have to learn how to run a 400 hurdle race.
We're gonna run not in lanes. You are wherever you are on the track. It's a completely different ball game.
I always say, give me an all-girls 4x8 from New Jersey against
everyone,
the world.
Yeah,
you have Athing, Sydney, Olivia Baker. You can throw Allie Wilson in there. You can throw Aji Wilson in there.
Yeah,
all from New Jersey.
Olivia Baker. Yep.
All from Jersey.
We
can even throw Talisa in there.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously. Oh wow. Yeah, there's a lot, and the depth of Jersey talent.
Jersey is always a top 3 or 4 state in the country for a track.
And coaches love them. Collegiate coaches love them because of their work ethic in relative what used to be
cold weather,
tough weather, but now it's not that cold anymore.
College is like, wow, they're like, you get a sprinter from New Jersey go down to like LSU, it's going to be a fantastic combination.
Yeah.
But also I think it's, the meet of champions as well, because the meet of champions, hopefully that's already fully fixed this year, but typically that's a national level meet, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're watching these New Jersey athletes compete against each other, you're watching this kid's expected to win. What did he do at mocks? Did he lead up to expectations? And that's great for college coaches to see.
It still shocks me how many states don't have a true state champion. They just stop.
I always love asking our guests from other states, like, do you have a real state meet?
We had 20 state champions. I'm like, you didn't have any state champions. You had 20 group champions, but there's only one state champ.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why Jersey does it. That's why, it's keep it going, because that's one meet that we have.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Like there's one of one in each event.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's legitimate. And it's good to promote, the next level beyond high school and college.
Yeah. That's what I loved what you said earlier, that the immediate chance was at Rutgers. It should be at Rutgers every year. Have the state university. You'll have kids going there more. I mean, you got Bobby Farrell there now. Like you're in the Big Ten. You're starting to, if you could get to meet there and show these kids the campus, it can't hurt.
Yeah. But I mean, that track doesn't exist in that football field anymore.
No, now they have a nice track over on Livingston. It's its own area.
I haven't even seen it.
They would have to bring in I mean, I haven't been there in 15, 20 years, but I mean, it was nice. It was its own. We had the Big East meet there one year when I was in school, so it could certainly host it. They'd have to bring
it. It should be at Rutgers every year. Like that's our state university. There's no excuse. What we used to have indoor mocks and everything at Princeton every year, and Princeton was a freaking dumpster fire, that track. It is what it was. Nice that it was an indoor track, but you couldn't wear spikes. It was flat. You couldn't warm up. You couldn't warm up. You couldn't breathe.
You had to stand with your sweats off for like 30 minutes.
I never ever. I don't know how I wasn't DQ'd from like every race at Princeton, because when they were like, you can't leave, I was like, bye. I'm going to warm up. Like I'm going to go run to the outdoor track a little. Come back. I worked up every time.
I worked out. Well, the meet of champs my senior year outdoor was at Princeton.
Yes, which is a nice it's a nice outdoor track, but
that's a wind tunnel. That front that home stretch is it, but with the stands there, that's an absolute wind tunnel. When the weather's nice, it's fine. When it's not, I remember some meets there where it's like you needed to push really hard on that backstretch because you are going to die on that. Like you are sprinting down that backstretch because you know that you're getting nothing on that front. Like people don't understand that strategy of track and field either sometimes.
That's why you have to draft, man.
It was, and you would sit there and you'd look at each other and it would be like, all right, this one's going to suck. Whoever gets stuck in the front is really screwed because you're going to have to go hard and lead everybody else.
No, but I actually wanted to ask Mike that, like you ran in a time where you didn't have all the things that these kids now with shoes and technology and like I always say now, like the days of a bad coach are almost gone because you can go online and get coached by anybody.
Like, sure.
So even if your school has a bad coach and you're a talent, you can go online and get coached by, like Robbie Andrews coach people, like everybody is coach people, and it's great, but so like I feel like there's so much more knowledge now and shoes and everything.
I wonder what it would be like, but I remember going to Yale indoors.
Cox Cage.
Yeah. Up to Yale, and that track was engineered to be fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you were on it, you were like, oh my God, just doing warm-ups. Like, I'm floating. I don't understand it. And I ran 223,000 meters there.
Wow.
Qualified for the NCAAs. But it was fast. And I finished second in that race to a kid from FDU. Tanzanian kid named Jimmy Igo. We were good friends. He was a good competitor. He was a nice kid.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's just different now. Like there weren't we would have to we would travel to West Point every Super Bowl weekend to run the 4x8 to a track qualified for Penn in the indoor season. So we would go up to Westfield or Seton Hall had a decent fast 200-meter track, but there weren't many where you could wear spikes. I mean, we used to go up to Lehigh, up to Drew University. Like we would.
I don't think we could wear spikes at the New Jersey Armory. They reopened up the New Jersey Armory when I was in high school, but I still don't think we could wear spikes in it.
No, it was.
You had to wear waffle racers.
Yep.
I don't even know what the New Jersey Armory is.
Yeah,
it's in Jersey City.
Jersey City for a long time. It was a painted wood floor, and then now it's finally rubberized. But
a lot of fun.
There's not one banked 200-meter track in this state.
No.
Yeah. No, there isn't.
Like the Ocean, whatever thing in Staten Island.
Breeze in Staten Island, which is awesome.
That's why they have media champs there now. They're not even in.
It's a great facility overall. It is a track facility through and through. And it's really nice. It's dedicated to it. And I know it's the Manhattan guys that were putting on a lot of the meets there. Coach Mecca was there doing a lot of the meets over at Ocean Breeze for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. Like West Point, when we were up there, had you heard the story about Glenn Livingston bullying his way through with one lap to go?
Yep.
Did you ever hear that one?
Yep.
Well, he was he was a defensive tackle or linebacker for the Indians football team. So playing, running track, he would just bull his way through. So he was disqualified after the race, and Lear went up and said, "Well, why was he disqualified?" The official said, "Well, Coach, we were considering filing assault charges." And O'Leary was like, "Oh, okay, we get it."
So what is your feeling about all the progress made in the sport right now in terms of, like Dave said, the technology with all like the watches and the super shoes that we have now and the spikes and the tracks? And is it something you kind of wish you had, or are you still happy and satisfied with the experience you had?
Happy and satisfied. It'd be interesting to see what it would be like.
Right.
Can you imagine in a time capsule or jump ahead and try it? But no, I'm very happy with what we had at the time. And right after college, because I had 3 more credits to acquire to graduate. So I didn't graduate in May. I graduated in September. But that gave me the opportunity to train with Eamon Coughlin.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Who lived in Rye.
Yep.
And outdoors my senior year also. I mean, this is the year after he won the world championship, the 5,000 meters.
Right. So freaking cool.
So he lived in Rye. He came down to Manhattan because Fred was a Villanova grad.
Right.
Eamon was a Villanova grad.
That connection is so
strong.
Only
permanent indoor 200-meter facility. So I remember Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had a late class. I didn't get to the gym until 4:30. Practice started at 4. Everybody's gone.
Yep.
So Fred had me running 10 or 12 300s. And Eamon shows up. He said, you mind if I jump in with you?
Like, not at all.
Yeah, no, Eamon. Go away, Eamon Coughlin. Yeah.
So he says, well, I'm running through that to the 400 meters. I said, sure. So I let him through, and then we ended up training for 3 months together. That was really cool.
That's awesome.
What an experience to be.
Was
so
cool.
What was that like, picking his brain and talking, like doing runs and stuff with a legendary individual?
It was amazing. It was just amazing. Like when he'd go by in the workout, his legs were just like pistons, and he was running 61 to 63 second 400s back to back, 110 meter jog. And I would lead him through that. But then we would do long runs together. We'd do tempo runs.
That's awesome.
Marty Ludikowski was a great Manhattan athlete and cross country runner. He was also training with us. And we were up at Tarrytown at the Rockefeller Estate. It was so massive. You could run 20 miles on that property and not be on the same road until you got back to your car.
It's crazy.
But it was summer and it was hot. We were running with just shorts, no shirt on. And Marty and I jumped into this like freshwater creek. He even tried it. He jumped out of there so fast. Like, no way. But he was nice and he was very positive. And he was tough, man. Kept telling me, you have a lot of talent, just stay with it. He knew about the Achilles injury. But he said, just stay with it. And our trainer at Manhattan was Johnny Johnson. He was the trainer for the New York Giants.
Okay.
He was the longest tenured employee with the Giants behind the Mara family. He was there for 42 years.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So he was on the sideline for the 4 Super Bowls.
That's awesome.
That's really freaking
But he was a sweet guy. He would just tape you up or do the electric stim or ice bouncer stuff, and he would just pat you on the back and go, get him, kid.
Did you consider pro or attempting to go pro post-collegiate?
No,
never crossed your mind.
I should have. I think back that I could have come back to O'Lear and trained with him, but no, life was moving on.
What did your PRs end up? So what did you focus on in college? I'll ask that. Was your focus the 1500 or was it the 3K?
Indoor was the 1,000 meters.
Okay.
Outdoor was the 1,500 and the mile.
So what did your PRs end up?
I ran 3:48.9, something like that.
Wow.
And 4:04 in the mile, sub 152 in the 800, and then the 1,000 in 2:23.
Wow,
you were cruising, absolutely cruising. So that's always. So that's just. I'm mind blown that you got to train with Eamon Coughlin. I didn't know that. Like for 3 months too, not just like one workout, awesome. But like. You could legitimately be like, yeah, me and Eamon were friends. Like, like that's pretty dope.
And we went to he had us at his house to rake leaves.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. My wife will have you, make lunch for you. Come on out and rake leaves at the house.
I'll rake Eamon Coughlin's leaves. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was cool. And he was such a sweet guy. And then we had Irish teammates. So Connor Boyle, Liam Hickey, Paul Quirk. Paul Quirk was an Irish Olympian shot and disc thrower, 1988. Who else? Billy Farrell, Marty Redmond. Marty ran 13:39, 5,000 meters at Penn.
Wow. Awesome.
And I think he went, I don't think he ran sub 4 mile, but he ran the equivalent at 1,500.
Right.
But he was a good runner too.
So Mike, with the Olympics just happening, I'm sure you tuned in. What did you think of the America's performance, like in the 15 and in the distance events overall? And how do you think that the sport is going forward? Like coming off of that with the next Olympics being in LA, we got this new leagues coming up. How do you feel that the sport, do you feel like we're finally ready to get the casual fans watching?
I would hope so. I mean, we're in very good hands. It's amazing. Cole Hocker. I mean, I don't bet. If I bet, I was betting on Cole. And when he won, we were in a restaurant up in Point Pleasant. I made a scene. I was like, I mean,
but you know what though? I'd imagine after everyone noticed what you were yelling about, there was probably a bunch of cheers going on as well, because it's something contagious about the Olympics. If people see USA crossing the line first, they don't have to know who it is. It's a pride thing. You're gonna get people cheering with you.
But it wasn't just
at first
him.
you look like the madman, and then it's like, oh, he's cheering for United States. That's awesome.
But
I mean, like
that race though. I mean, like you had Hocker win in unbelievable fashion, and then Yared was. I mean, if 5 more feet, he's catching Kerr for second, and then
second, yeah.
And then Kessler
was incredible.
That
was incredible.
Kessler gets, and then steeplechase was my favorite. Rooks getting second. Nobody even heard of him.
I saw his NCAA race,
right?
And
I mean, no one would have thought he gets second
in the Olympics. I was like, okay, he's a good American. He'll be all right. But
he's out front leading.
When he took that lead with
no one went for him. Yeah, it was great. No one went. I was like, go.
Imagine riding that high from NCAAs to trials, and he ran well at trials, but it was like, okay, does it matter who wins American trials?
We don't have Jaeger, so
we don't.
Who cares?
Yeah, we don't place in the steeple. The trial's great. You're going to go to the Olympics, kid. Good for you.
He had just it's like
guts
in that
pure
race.
Balls. Just that's yeah. And then he thought he could win. That's the thing. He had the confidence to go out and win that race, and that's awesome.
They were all, but to me, Grant Fisher getting double bronze. I mean, as an American, 5 and a 10, and 2 different races, fast, slow. Like he changed coaches, and it worked because he put himself in different races prior to Olympics. One went out fast, and then he would go out slow. His coaches did a masterful job. I mean, that was so. I mean, I
wanted him to do so well, Grant, but he did. He finished second, right?
2 bronzes.
Two bronzes. He finished third. He finished third by just a whisker, right?
Yep, third and 5.
Someone caught him.
And like Dave said, one was a slow race where he had to pick it up. I think that was the 10K, right? They were slow, and then the last mile was a gauntlet, and he responded. But the 5K went out true, and he ran a hell of a 5K as well. So it was like he showed that he could run any race, and he's world class. And
you think about
that's amazing.
It's always just all the field events too. You know,
oh my God,
Browser, shot put, the woman in the discus.
Yeah.
Our pole vaulter.
Valerie Allman. She's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's
women's, men's.
It was an overall team effort.
It was the
overall team
greatest.
Was so good.
I think it was the most dominant USA team performance in track and field, because usually we don't get points. We rarely ever get points in those distance events, and we're getting points in the men and women distance. I mean, and the craziest one is the only distance we didn't score is he freaking breaks the American record.
The 800 runs a 141.
Yeah. So
and you get fourth. And running a 141, you get fourth. Could you imagine that dude? There were 4 guys running 141. Like that's
what I said
ridiculous.
Back when Rudisha set the world record in the Olympics. 2 Americans, and they went
that was
sub 140. Did they go sub 143?
Yeah. Simmons was 5th.
And was it Simmons and Solomon?
142.
Was it Dwayne Solomon?
Solomon was the 3rd in like a 142.
And I'm sitting there, 142. Great job. Thanks for coming.
And now it's 141. He breaks Donovan Brazier's record and gets 4th. Like that is. Like, but what an Olympics though, right? Like they Paris, they put on a great Olympics there. It was a great product.
That's why this is the time where the iron's hot and we have to strike, because we have so many. Like coming off of that, the next Olympics is in LA. Like we can't have 2 years now where we don't promote or do anything. It's got to be full bore promotion all the way to LA.
No, I agree.
So on that note,
I had the stuff up at work. I was saying, who knows who's an Olympian, or, and people kept coming up to me asking, how are the people doing it? Mostly Sydney, but.
So I want to go on that note before we close out here, because you've been gracious giving us well over an hour of your time. I want to ask you, because we were talking about the Olympics and things like that. Dave is talking about how we need to strike now while the iron's hot, right? One of the goals of this show that we've talked about forever is we want to figure out a way here collectively how to get pros paid, because our pros deserve to be paid like every other pro athlete, because they're some of the best athletes on the planet.
Absolutely.
And they should be, we shouldn't have the stories where someone's in the Olympics and they were a bartender right before they got to Paris. It's like, we shouldn't have to hear that. So if you had a wand or a magic wand, and you could make something happen that would change this sport to get the casual fans to come to get these pros paid, what would be your one change that would lead us in that direction? Loaded question.
And I don't bet, but betting would probably bring people to it, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like you said, we would get eyes there, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, you just have to hope that the only issue that I have with betting is that if all these people are betting and they're making money, but the athletes aren't, it's easy to fix it.
You would have to. So here's the thing: that if that ever becomes a thing, if you're the athletes, you need to unionize, right? Because if you unionize, then as that comes, you could demand something in the collective bargaining. But the question is, who are they unionizing against, right? There's no promotion that, maybe now with Michael Johnson's Grand Slam, if this is a success and, Ryan Krauser is going to do his throwing league, if those are successful, then you could potentially see like a runners union, a throwers union. I think they'll be separate unions. I don't think we're going to have one full athletics union, because runners are going to want something different than the throwers, than the jumpers, than the multis, right? Oh, my camera just went down. But they all I'll be back.
No, but he's right. But we have had other people say, like, how great would it be if track and field was on DraftKings or FanDuel and you could bet on 100? Like, you would get more people to watch it. And also the thing with me is, where the hell can I watch it? It's not on network. It's all behind paywalls. Like, it needs to be put on public TV. So if you're just channel surfing,
but then you get the potential for fixes.
I know.
I'm back out of
and that's what you'd hate to see. Like, a Tyson whatever name's fight.
Great Paul, yeah,
which I did not watch.
I did, but
I wasn't interested.
But I mean, there's so many things, and it's just going to take someone with deep pockets to just say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Like, we need guaranteed salaries. We need leagues, like circuits where fans know, all right, on Saturdays at this time, I can tune in here and watch my favorite athletes run every week. And then they become fans of the athletes, and more marketable,
And shout out to the ATL for trying to do that right now. The ATL is trying.
When and where to find them.
That's the thing, and unfortunately things happen, but when an athlete pulls out 3 days prior to the meet and there's people going to see them, it hurts the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, but that I think that answer, we've heard it a few times now. It was first suggested. What was it? Sarah Slattery was the first one that suggested it. And I've always said the best way to do it with the betting is no one knows who the hell these athletes really are, right, Michael? So the best way to do it is you do it horse racing style. Win, place, and show. Here's what these athletes did the last 10 times they ran this race. These are the times. So then right there, you don't have to know the athletes, and that would bring in more bets.
But then people would get to know the athletes.
Exactly.
Because of that.
Exactly. Because you get to know your jockeys, right? If you're a big horse racing guy, you might not know the horse, but you know the jockey. And you know the jockeys run well here.
About horse racing, but I know who Bob Baffert is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you could see, and then you could see trends. And I think that would be the way we'd have to go. Instead of just like straight up bets with the odds, you could still do it, right? You could still do straight up bets. That's always an option. But I feel like if we went horse racing style with win, place, or show, trifectas, superfectas, and things like that, they would make money hand over fist, because you wouldn't have to know anything about the sport to do it, because then you could see the trend.
It's definitely interesting. Obviously, I would like to see it grow more organically, but we've been saying that for 50 years.
Sometimes you got to force the issue.
But I am hoping after the Olympics, and there is no, and there is so many places to watch it now. Like, maybe it's not free, but like, with the internet, there's places to find it. Like, I love how New Balance is streaming their meets free on YouTube now.
Hell yeah. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X. There's no excuse. There's no excuse to not do it. And you can, to have to promote it. I feel like there has to be a caveat I feel like the ATL should start doing this. If you are going to compete in my race, you must blast it out to all your socials. It is a must. That you as the athlete have to promote that you are going to be here.
That's what's working now. Huh?
Promote yourself, promote the league.
Promote yourself, promote the league. So, Michael, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for asking. Yes.
Getting to talk to you, hearing so many stories, like you were always a person that people from my era grew up idolizing, because we heard so many wonderful stories, and to have met you previously and to now talk with you for an hour, it's an honor to say that I stepped on the same track as you and worked and ran under the same coaches, because we're all a family at Tom's River South Track.
Yes.
And we always will be. Just the retirement dinner, we had like 400 people there for and half.
That was that was a love fest, wasn't it? It was awesome.
But that's what we do, because we had a tradition, a team that was so prideful and had like, you know, like I know everyone's name who came prior to me, and I'm not as good now, but until O'Leary left, and I knew everyone's name, you know, and we all got together to watch Marco and Kyle run it.
And we had Marco on the show, which was lots of fun talking to Marco.
I saw that, but we were together up at where was it? East Brunswick.
It was South Plainfield, I think.
South. No,
yeah, but I mean, I was coaching there at the time, but like I stopped because I didn't even know me, and we all watched together, and
that was such a courageous move. 62nd, third quarter.
Yeah, it was
that was when he went out. I was like, oh my god!
Imagine having that in your back pocket, a 62nd quarter. That would be nice.
That one might have been at Old Bridge. I don't know.
It was Old Bridge.
One of them.
Yes, it was Old Bridge.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you for coming on last minute. You know, it's
quite all right.
Always,
thank you, Dave.
It's always an honor for me to talk to those.
Yeah, it's great.
Legends.
And I appreciate you coming on.
Tradition. Thank you too, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming. I always like hearing like the New Jersey talk. It's fun, but it's also pretty cool to branch into like you went to Manhattan, so obviously you were a MAC competitor, and I'm Marist, so it's like fun to hear that side. Well,
and I had no idea that you trained with Eamon Coughlin. That's
incredible. You training with Eamon Coughlin, like
that was a great experience.
And the stories that you just came up with like the Harlem story over in freaking the Armory and things like that, which like just. All of that is good stuff, and it's exactly why we do it.
Those are
I don't know if our high school coaches would be able to coach nowadays with how much kids have actually changed. It would be interesting. I mean,
I don't know if I'd be able to coach right now. I don't know how you do it, but
like, what was the story at Penn when they went into a team's room late at night and they told them you guys were acting up bad, and Hef turns around and says, "This is not." Oh, they were going to Jack O'Leary's, Morris Knowles, right? Or Morris Hills.
Morris Hills.
And they were going to go bust Jack's team, and they raided the room. They went in and they were yelling at the kids and pulling uniforms out of drawers. And Hef turns and goes, the uniforms are green. Morris Hills is red. We're in the wrong room.
Ransacked some, and I'm sure there were many beverages drank prior to that happening.
Yes. Yep.
That's incredible.
That's right. Mike Schmidt in Philadelphia when the Phillies weren't even in town.
I'll tell Alex that story later. That's one of my favorite ones. But listen, it was a different era, man. It was like, like my favorite part of every day was getting a ride home from practice from Mr. O'Leary.
Oh yeah, you got right. Yeah,
I couldn't.
The Malibu, or which one was that? The minivan.
We had the minivan. We had the Malibu. We had a few in my time there. He had his car that he bought for $1 off of someone. Yep.
Yes.
Hey, my first car was for $1 from my grandfather. It happens, okay? It happens. But we appreciate everyone that watched, wherever you watch Talking in Ovals here. If you're watching on X, Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate it. Go give us a share, rating, all that fun stuff. If you listen to this on the podcasting space later, thanks for listening. We appreciate that as always. And if you can give us a good rating there, 5 stars is the only one. If not, we're going to send Michael after you. I'm pretty sure he's still plenty fast. He'll catch you. And yeah, but we appreciate it all. We'll be back next week. I know it's a Tuesday today. I think I said Monday earlier. It is a Tuesday. We're a day back, but we'll be back next week. We're always excited at our normal day, normal time, and we will see everyone then. So long, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.